I have a beautiful singing voice.
I was the nicest one, but you won't even remember me.
I guess I do not matter. Is it wrong to enjoy killing?
So many body parts! I'm in heaven!
It is like taking candy from a baby. Eating the candy, laughing while it cries.
I am no baby, but still, they take my candy!
Here we go again. Again.
Here we go again. Again.
I look like a cock. A teal.
Both are delicious!
Hello guys, this is the Gaming Revolution here and welcome back to an all new Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War video. Today I want to talk about the identity of the Director of Requiem that was finally revealed within Toten's ending cutscene, and it is becoming ever more evidence that the most likely candidate for his identity is in fact Eddie, the new incarnation of Richtofen. From everything that we have seen on this map, everything is pointing in this direction. First of all, the most compelling piece of evidence is the fact that the Cerberus wonder weapons seemingly have the AI of different other members of Requiem.
Hello, I am CRBRS, but you could call me Cerberus, sure. I'm a Requiem service weapon, if you couldn't already tell.
In fact, we even have this blackboard about who is Klaus, and it lists his main associates as Office of Requiem senior staff. We have Weaver, Carver, Elizabeth Gray, and Strauss. That just so happen to be the AI incompetence of the Cerberus. But finally we have the Director, and it seems very likely that Klaus's AI is in fact based off of the Director of Requiem. In fact, as I'm sure many of you will have noticed, Klaus even sounds very similar to Richtofen. In fact, he even sounds very similar to Nolan North, who voiced Richtofen.
An American-made robot with a German personality.
So Klaus may actually be our first preview of who the Director of Requiem is, because his AI is seemingly based off of him. For his facts, Klaus was delivered several days ago. When powered on, he identified himself as CIA/Requiem property. His extensive combat and firearm training is beyond deadly. However, it lists that he needs an attitude adjustment. He will kill without reason, and he has killed 3 agents. And I don't know about you, but his personality really matches that of Richtofen, with the fact that he is deranged, he has a quirky personality, is quite egotistical, and quite often is on the verge of existential crisis.
Do you ever wonder why you are here? Question your role in the universe.
We have this other chalkboard on the right asking what is the Office of Requiem, but in the center, the Director is listed with a question mark with a bunch of arrows pointing towards him. It says, what do they have to do with Klaus? Did they send Klaus to kill me? Question mark. Klaus is listed as being highly irritable. He lashes out violently if provoked or when feeling self-conscious.
I hope everyone is watching all the murdering I am doing. I cannot remember the last time I caused so much bloodshed. Wait, actually I do.
He is prone to mood swings, resulting in increased unsolicited opinions and complaints when bored. And this makes complete sense because Eddie is going to be quite different from the prior versions of Richtofen that we have seen before, Ultimis and Primis. And of course, within the house, he went through a ton of trauma, and he probably has a lot of loose screws in his brain. He has been thrown into this completely brand new universe, and God knows what he has been through, so it makes complete sense that he is very irritable and has some self-esteem issues. Even if we look at the different wacky cosmetic changes that you can make when you upgrade Klaus, I don't know about you guys, but there's only one character that comes to mind when I think of a character that would be willing to do this.
I love it when we plan and come together! It's so slippery and wet and joyful, just like you, Nikolai!
But even if we ignore the evidence that Klaus's AI and personality is most likely based off of the Director of Requiem, which seems to suggest that he is in fact Eddie, why on earth would Treyarch be keeping the Director of Requiem's identity a secret? Why would they choose to hide his face when there is only one character left to be introduced in Black Ops Cold War Zombies' storyline, and Craig Houston has in the past suggested that Eddie will be tackled with and introduced in a future map? All of the evidence is pointing towards him being Eddie. He is literally the only character left to be revealed. A lot of people are saying that they think he might be Hudson just because of the way that the director is dressed, but he is obviously not the first character to wear a smart white shirt, and the director even has a customized mug saying the best director ever. And we're not exactly sure as to whether he's gotten him this mug himself or whether someone else has gotten it for him, but I'm willing to bet that he got it himself. And if so, that just leans into the fact that the director is most likely an egomaniac, and who is an egomaniac we know? Richtofen. Both Ultimis and Primis were very self-centered.
Do you know who I am?
A lot of people will say that Primis Richtofen was a much more refined version of Richtofen, but at the end of the day, he still perpetuated the cycle even though he knew that he had to die in order for it to end. And when one of the versions of Primis Richtofen finally did what needed to be done, the version of Primis Richtofen that had to sacrifice himself said,
Faces. You won't even remember.
He is literally calling himself the nicest one, so yeah, he is very egotistical. And besides that, the director in the ending cutscene of Amauda Toten says the following. And this is most likely not referring to Valentina perishing and the bomb, but is instead referring to the fact that Klaus's purpose was to kill the CIA agents and destroy the Janus intel that they had stumbled upon. And we have this Janus cipher that says, from Requiem to Klaus. Subject, complete your mission, you have your orders. The security of Project Janus is your top priority. Contain this situation, find and destroy the intercepted communique, then tie up all loose ends. We cannot allow this to get out. And I will leave a link to Eric and Cal's videos down in this video's description in which they discuss more about Project Janus and the theory that the Director of Requiem is in fact Eddie. They are definitely worth a watch. As I was saying earlier, Eddie's personality is most likely very different from the prior versions of Richtofen that we have seen. Of course, there will probably be some similarities and some crossovers, just like we have seen with Samantha Maxis, but I have a feeling like this version of Richtofen is going to be even different from the version of Samantha because of the fact that he is most likely going to be quite shy and he is even self-conscious. Since we saw Eddie in the Origins ending cutscene, we haven't seen him say a word since, and that is most likely due to the trauma that he faced. But Eric's explanation is perfect. He said, I highly doubt it is Nolan. Bear in mind he made this comment before we got Amauda Toten and we heard the voice of Klaus, which does sound very similar to Nolan North, but Nolan North has said on TikTok before that he is not returning as Richtofen within this game. Now, it is possible that he simply made that TikTok before he knew that he was going to be within this game, so there is still a possibility that Klaus and subsequently the director may be voiced by Nolan North. Alternatively, they might have just hired someone to do a voice that is very similar to Nolan North, and it might not be Nolan North himself. Anyways, Eric went on to say, this Eddie is supposedly nothing like the others, which makes sense. We learn from the quotes within Tagda Toten's campfire that the one thing that all Richtofens had in common was losing their soul at a young age and being orphans. This one has seemingly experienced neither. Samantha was raised in the orphanage that he was raised in the old story, which to me means that they swapped roles and he has now grown up with adoptive parents. These adoptive parents would have probably given him their last name, thus making him both metaphorically and literally not Richtofen but not Eddie. So even though technically speaking he is a version of Richtofen, he might not have the last name Richtofen, he might be called Eddie and then something else. And this version of Eddie is going to be drastically different from the other versions of Richtofen that we have seen before, and if he has switched roles with Samantha, I don't exactly know what that's going to mean for the future of the storyline, but it could mean that he is in fact going to end up being in control. Maybe sometime in the future he might finally get his turn, like he talked about within the Origins ending cutscene.
You're getting everything wrong. I told you before their eyes should be blue.
It's my turn, Eddie. I can do whatever I want.
But you don't even know how to play properly. Girls don't know enough about zombies.
Put some toys away, children. Make sure the windows are locked before you come down to the basement.
We'd better do what your dad says. I didn't even get my turn.
Did you have dolls as a child? Maybe you should have.
But yeah, if he has grown up as an orphan similar to Samantha, that'll be another reason for his self-consciousness, and the fact that he seems quite crazy judging from what we've seen from Klaus, often being in existential crisis. In terms of what the Director of Requiem's end goal is, however, we're not exactly sure. However, he seems very interested in the Dark Aether and experimenting on Samantha Maxis, who has gained these ethereal powers. And it really wouldn't surprise me within the final Cold War Zombies DLC map if Samantha has to sacrifice herself to kill the one within the Dark Aether, and she might die. After all, Julie Nathanson was almost in tears within a recent interview with Craig Houston.
Julie, it's always a pleasure to work with you and to talk to you. I do consider you not only one of my favorite collaborators, but also a very, very good friend. Don't you dare start crying. Thank you so much for everything you've done over the years for this amazing experience.
Thank you. I stopped myself from crying. The feeling is mutual.
So it seems like her demise might be coming soon, and both Samantha and Eddie are the only links to the old Aether storyline, so if Samantha goes out of the picture, it will leave Eddie to reign free with whatever his goal is. And Samantha Maxis even went to the same university that Richtofen went to. It does seem like Treyarch are trying to tell a completely unique story, with the Dark Aether storyline completely separate from the Aether storyline, and with Samantha and Eddie being the only real connection to the old storyline, it would make sense to see Samantha gone, and maybe we just see Eddie moving forward into future games. However, this version of Eddie will be his own character, with maybe some slight similarities to Richtofen, but he's basically a new character. Although the Dark Aether storyline is following a lot of similar storyline beats to the old Aether storyline, it does seem like a lot of stuff is flipped on its head, with the fact that Eddie and Samantha's roles have been flipped. But Eric does believe that Janus is these portals that Samantha is creating, considering that Janus is the god of gateways, portals, dualities, beginnings and endings. So maybe Janus will be used as a portal to throw the one back into the Dark Aether if it manages to escape, or maybe there's some other purpose of the Janus portals. So the way in which Samantha might die from Operation Janus is she might use her Dark Aether powers to open up a giant portal to the Dark Aether, and maybe the portal is just too big and it ends up killing her because it required so much energy to open. In terms of the director's purpose to wanting to open this portal, as he said, maybe this is a way for us to enter the Dark Aether within DLC 4 to defeat the One, or potentially the director might be trying to harness something from the Dark Aether, but I do think that this is going to lead to Samantha's demise. And another thing to note is that we don't exactly know why Requiem and Omega within this game refer to the Dark Aether as the Dark Aether, because this name is something that came from the old Aether storyline, but Samantha seemingly lost her memory and she doesn't really remember anything from the old Aether storyline. When she was trapped within the Dark Aether, some memories started to trickle back, but she doesn't have really any proper recollection. So where on earth did they get the name the Dark Aether from? Well, what if Eddie does have memory of the old Aether storyline, unlike Samantha? Maybe not complete memory, maybe he only remembers some of it, but it does seem like he has some knowledge of the old storyline storyline, and maybe that's where the name the Dark Aether came from. And Omega simply took the name the Dark Aether from Requiem, unbeknownst to the name's origins. But yeah, I have a feeling like if Eddie is the director of Requiem, he is up to no good. And considering the fact that he wanted to experiment on Samantha and harness these Dark Aether powers, once again this does suggest that he has memories of the old storyline and potentially even remembers who Samantha is. I don't know, maybe he even blames Samantha for all of his personal struggles that he may have faced within this rebooted universe. Another thing that I want to mention is we know that the director of Requiem does speak Russian, so he most likely can speak English, German, and Russian. And another thing to note is that Richtofen seemingly owes a debt to the Shadow Man.
You do know that Richtofen is a friend of mine. I say friend, but really he's so much more than that. At one point, I almost considered him my apprentice. I mean, he did stab my reporter friend and steal the summoning key. But at one point, he did everything I told him to. I keep hoping he'll remember the promise he made to me so long ago.
Now, as far as we are aware, the Shadow Man doesn't exist anymore. Some people think that the One is a combination of Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man recombined. Other people are theorizing that all of the Elder Gods in the Dark Aether are seemingly the remnants of Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man being split apart into multiple different entities and mutating within the Dark Aether. Either way, maybe Eddie does in fact owe a debt to the One within the Dark Aether, or seemingly any of the other entities or Elder Gods in there. Anyways, that's everything I wanted to go over in today's video. Thank you for watching the video, and make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.